What does Machiavelli and the zodiac sign Gemini, the twins, have in common? That is the topic of today's discussion. Guys, welcome back to Hipnovision Studios. I am your host, Nicholas, and today we are indeed diving into Machiavelli, what the lessons of his life can teach us, and how it relates to the Gemini twins. So let's begin, shall we? Who was Machiavelli really? He was a Renaissance political thinker, not a villain, observed human behavior with brutal honesty, exposed how power, perception, and motives truly work. Now, guys, this is one of the biggest reasons he was one of the most hated people of his time because he revealed something that was, as I just said, brutally honest, and that is motives and personal intentions, which, by the way, is a natural human condition which we all, in different forms and variations, seem to have in common with each other. But it was the very honesty that even he had some of these same traits within him that set him apart from others because he exposed this openly and honestly, which made a lot of people upset with him. So the two sides of this is how we are going to link in the zodiac sign, the Gemini, uh, or shall I say the twins. The core idea is that people have two core identities or two selves. And you can really look at human anatomy to understand this. We have two halves of the human brain, there are two halves of the nervous system. And when we look at magnetism itself and how polarity is set up, there is a positive and negative pole within each human person. Now, when you hear the word bipolar, it starts to make a little sense. There is, in essence, two poles, right? There is a positive self and a negative self, and how our nervous system is set up, it really has a lot to do with how we perceive the outside world. And any of you that have been watching my channel, you know that I speak about Neville Goddard's work a lot, which he talks about how we filter the outside world through our emotional states. So the public self is what we show people. The private self is what we really want or we fear. Every decision comes from the hidden self, not the public one. This double self is why intentions rarely match actions. And why people appeared to hate Machiavelli is because he exposed real motives behind politics, relationships, and loyalty. People want comforting illusions, not uncomfortable truths. He revealed her hypocrisy, fear tactics, and manipulation openly. Those in power hated him because he lifted the mask. So, guys, I'm going to stop right here for just a second. All you have to do is look at the outside world, especially when it comes to politics, how every election cycle there's a politician asking for your vote, and in exchange for all these things that they are going to do on your behalf to make your life better. But once they get into office, they quickly become more in aligned with the agenda of the establishment itself. It is, in essence, really highlighting what Machiavelli was trying to tell us. And even if we look at the understanding of the twins, we can see how there is that self interest that happens with this. So I find this link to be very interesting, and I'm not sure how many people ever really come to this conclusion. But his most dangerous observation, people love to people love the appearance of virtue more than virtue itself. Now, I really want to bring something up that I heard in a book by Willem Willis Wallace Whittle, I think is his name. The book is called How to Promote Yourself. And the whole concept behind this is, and the idea of self promotion is to be able to give value to another person in exchange for equal value itself. And this is not about, um, here's an example. Maybe this YouTube video itself might go out into the domain of YouTube, but in the process of doing that, it helps one person gain an internal insight into something. And from that, it changes the course of their life and it brings them some kind of prosperity because they gain new insight about something. So, in that sense, it is an exchange of value. And for them watching the channel, watching the video, the exchange is complete because that view goes towards the count on this channel, for example, just hyperbole speaking. So when we get into this, how much can I get from another person without the least of giving back to them? This is what Machiavelli was pointing out. There is this self serving interest that people try to hide and then appear as if they are virtuous, but they lack the actual intention of being virtuous. Even Alan Watts addressed this in some of his lectures, where the act of trying to appear virtuous is not being virtuous, meaning like this. If you go and pull your camera out to take a video of you helping a homeless person just so you can post that onto social media and just so you can get likes, are you truly helping that person from the bottom of your heart? Or is there a double meaning behind this, a double intention? You want to be seen as someone helping that homeless person. That is why you were filming it in the first place. So if you really were wanting to help people, there would be no need to film it and then post it online. Again, guys, just an example, not really something aimed at making someone feel bad. This is human nature in its rawest forms. So people prefer looking good over being good. They protect image more than truth. They admire authenticity but punish it socially. So I've said this before, people want truth from other people, but oftentimes more than not, they are not willing to be truthful themselves. So there is hidden intentions behind everything. And when you look at people's actions versus what they say, oftentimes you can reveal some of those hidden intentions and they come to surface. This is what they mean by they lift the veil or the mask falls off the person and you see their hidden motives, their hidden intentions. And it only takes one paying attention to understand intention. The intention is the inward motivation. The attention is how we are attuned to what that person is doing. One of the biggest things is self interest as the real driving force. Most choices are based on benefit, not morality. Loyalty lasts only as long as there is an advantage. People shift sides when circumstances change. You see this in relationships, careers, politics, and friendships. And I recently read when it came to things like contempt, there was a study that was able to predict 90% of the time if a marriage, a friendship, or a long term relation would last based upon contempt. If there was even any remote contempt within a relation, then it was 90% accurate in predicting that it would fail in the long term. And this is somewhat of that push and pull dynamics. And, guys, on my channel, I've talked about magnetism a whole lot. The world is an electromagnetic universe. And most people, honestly, I don't think have fully waken up to that. But when you go back and look at the late 1800s, early 1900s literature, most of those books, around the time of Neville Goddard's work, Manny P. Hall, um, different works dealt with the magnetism or the laws of magnetism, which is the laws of attraction. Now, in the mainstream idea of things in the modern times, a lot of that stuff has really been forgotten because we have lost our ways and attention spans nowadays are very, very short. People are very distracted and their thoughts are all over the place and they are paying attention to everything out there. So, understanding our own inward intentions has a lot to do with having an ability to magnetize your focus and put it onto something and be able to hold it there. I talked about visualizing recently in one of my videos and how to practice visualization being able to form a mental image and hold it in your mind's eye and to practice that, not allowing your mind to stray off over to here or to over there, but to hold that image in your mind firm and steady and continue to repeat this process. And it helps you to sharpen your imagination. It also helps you to form a stronger ability to pay attention to things that is something that you desire for yourself. But if you want to help other people, you can really formulate inside of your head how Nikola Tesla did. It is said that he was able to take inventions inside of his mind, build them from the ground up, and then tweak them until they were working before he even actually created them in what we call reality. The double intentions, the hidden rule of human behavior. This is something else that came from Machiavelli. People say one thing and then act another. This again is push and pull type dynamics. And when you think about magnets, you're either attracting or you are repelling. They say opposites attract to teach lessons, but when two people come together that are like minded and they are set up in a direction, right? This is all about the direction of going upward. If we look at a pyramid, down at the base is wider, at the top is more narrow. So if your vision at the point is broad enough that other people can come into the fold and everyone is getting something from it, then the vision is greater than the people at the bottom. It is a upward draft where everyone is benefiting from this versus a downward. So you look at the dark triad, for example. Triad is a trinity of three. Like you have narcissism is one of those things that would be classified in there, where a narcissistic person will go between two different people, right? If we have three people, and let's say one of these three is a narcissistic person, they will go between these two people behind closed doors, behind the other person's back, and try to say something derogatory about the other person in order to change the viewpoint of that person that they are working against. And then they will go and play the other person against the first person. So what essentially is happening is you have one person who is playing against both of these people. They are turning these two people against each other so they can reap the benefits of doing so. In some circles, you would understand that the Jesuits, when you look at history, was the same type archetype, which is to embed these thoughts of doubt into people's minds and then use it against them. And that is quite revealing about the human nature of things. So, compliments and kindness often mask personal needs. Manipulation is normalized, honesty is punished. Everyone is a messenger telling you who they are through patterns. Guys, patterns has been a big thing on my channel also because um, human nature has patterns, right? We repeat thought patterns, we have behavior patterns, we have seasonal patterns where we do the same thing during different seasons and it changes year after year, but we repeat certain patterns. That is very interesting. But also, when you look at sacred geometry and you understand harmony is something that is imbalanced, there is a symmetric understanding to this versus something that is not harmonious, would be very destructive. It's unstable, is what I'm trying to say. And how this ties into the Gemini twins is the inner self versus the outer self. Symbolically, or the symbol of duality, contradiction, perception, and identity, represents the two voices inside every person, the one they speak and the one they silence. Machiavelli wrote about the same split centuries earlier. The hidden connection between Machiavelli and Gemini and consciousness both reveal the gap between appearance and intention. Both show the truth behind mask. Both explain why people contradict themselves. Both highlight duality in human nature, not evil, but just real, as in reality. How many times have you noticed someone say one thing and then it seems to contradict themselves later. How many times would you be self honest enough to admit to yourself that you have contradicted yourself in some situations? If I was honest with myself, I could absolutely tell you guys right now on camera, I have done that before. I have said one thing and then contradicted myself later. So it is human nature, and that comes with a ability to look at yourself and say, you know what? There are some things in my own life that I am not um, always being honest with myself because my own mind is able to lie to me. And by that, it creates contradictions within. Sometimes our thoughts and our feelings are not in alignment, and this causes contradiction and it can cause chaos within us, internal conflict. And that really speaks to the understanding that there is a duality life aspect to life. Now, some people want you to think that the understanding of duality is inherently evil, just as evil as alchemy. But if you understand how it works, then you can use it to balance your chemicals in your body because it is all chemicals, alchemy. It's truly amazing, guys. So, the reason this matters today is social media amplifies the public self. So, a lot of people don't even realize the the overarching picture of social media. For example, your phone is always in your pocket. Your phone is a personal device, and your phone is a portal to other people's personal lives. Now, when this happens, we always want to put on a face, right? We want to put on the best face for social media. We want to post things that make us look good. You could be in debt um, as big as a mountain and have all these nice things. You could have a brand new car, a nice house. But if you're in debt to your eyeballs, are you really doing as well as that social media post wants other people to think? So flip the script on this for just a minute. If you're sitting at your phone or looking at your phone and you see someone post something and then you say to yourself, wow, I'm kind of jealous. I wish I had that. But you don't know, perhaps the person that posted that is that person who is in debt to their eyeballs. So there is hidden aspects to all of this, and Machiavelli really revealed this, and he became a very hated man because of it. The idea that people like their illusions better than they like truth. It's quite interesting when you stop and think about it. So he didn't expose evil. He exposed the twins inside every human being. So when you get on social media and you see things like twin flames, you have to understand that it's not about another person. It never was about another person. Now, popular TV shows or different things like that can make it seem like it's about couples, right? My twin flame, my other person, my this, my that. It is really about the outside version of you and the inside version of you, what you say outwardly to other people, but what you are really thinking and feeling internally. So this is for me, a few years ago, when I sat down with a notepad and I said, I'm going to get extremely honest with myself. And then I ended up making my first recording on camera with a microphone and with headphones on. I said that I was going to make a reintroduction to myself. And here it is, guys. I played a clip of this before, but for most of my life, I have gone by the name as Nick. I identify as Nick. Nick has a persona that was built of who I wanted to be, what I wanted to be like, how I wanted to be seen, even if some of that stuff was subconsciously driven and I was not fully aware of all of those workings. However, my name from childhood is Nicholas. And so at some point in early childhood, around the age of, I think, preteen or so, I stopped going by Nicholas and I started going by the name of Nick because Nicholas was a longer name. It didn't sound as cool as the name Nick. And so, therefore, I dropped that name and assumed a different identity. Now, when all this started to unfold, and I was like, I'm going to get like brutally honest with myself, just the way Machiavelli did, I learned a lot about myself. I learned that there were parts of me that I denied about myself and pushed down, right? We have a tendency to push that down things that we don't like. So we all have insecurities and we all experience inner thoughts that tell us that we're not good enough, that we're not able to achieve what it is that we'd like to achieve in life. But then there's that outwardly appearance of trying to appear strong, even though sometimes we could just be more honest with people, right? Being honest with people would sound like this. Hey, I really, really like you. I don't need to attach myself to you. And the idea that I don't need you in a way that is codependent, but I like having you in my life. And if you're not able to be in my life, I'm okay with that. I can accept it. I don't have to use these manipulation tactics to make you feel bad for me or to make you feel responsible for my emotions. This is a form of maturity, but also a secure attachment style versus being insecure and attached to the idea, the illusion that as long as I have this person around me, then everything is okay because I am manifesting off of their back. Is very interesting. And I'll point something else out that I learned in the past 2 years or so. The law of attraction works like this: when two or more people believe in something, then they assign value to it. So if a third or fourth person comes along and sees that two people find value in something, they will also most likely say, yes, this is valuable because these other people see it as valuable also. Now, this is interesting because even churches use this. Religion uses this because if we start to say, hey, this church here, where two or more people gather, there should be a fellowship. Mighty strange that the similarity is right there. The twins really tell us something here because there is the inner self, the outer self, the duality of life, the positive pole and the negative pole. So when you get the understanding that on the surface level, when we say someone is bipolar, what are we really saying? They are bouncing between the pole of being positive and negative. This is push, pull dynamics. And we can become polarized in the same way. If we get around enough people acting a certain way, what do most people do? They go along with the masses because standing out makes you a target, or either standing out makes you more seen. And people who have a fear of being seen would rather just go along with the masses and blend in with everyone else and keep a low profile so they don't become seen. Very interesting stuff. Machiavelli is an interesting character when you really look into his work and you start to understand the brutal honesty of it all is just that we all have a certain amount of self-interest for doing things. If the interest is lopsided, meaning there's not really an equal give and take in something, then more times than not, the actions will reveal the true intent behind it. So, for what it's worth, guys, I'm going to keep this one short today. I don't want to go too deep in it, but the Gemini twins really highlight this because there is that inner self and the outer self, the inner dialogue we have in that mental conversation, and then how we speak outwardly. We may be thinking in opposition of what we say out loud. We may think something and we keep that private, but say something completely different outwardly. And, a lot of times we allow ourselves to get upset before we speak our truth, and then it comes out in a form of anger. And if you can become honest with yourself, learn to speak your truth from a place of being mostly relaxed, then it is more accepted to other people than it is to just come out in an angry state and start to attack people with your version of truth. So take that with a grain of salt, guys. This is really meant to be more educational than anything else, just to highlight the connection between the Gemini twins and what Machiavelli really revealed in his work. And I hope everyone has a great day. We are going into the week of Thanksgiving, and I will have a video up in midweek sometime for that. And I will see you guys on the next one.